Hi, everybody. I'm Coach Rebecca Smith. Welcome to Q&A with Coach Rebecca. I'm happy to have you here. If you're live, go ahead and say hello in the comments. Let me know who's here, what sport, and let me know you can hear me. And then we'll get started here in just a sec. So what I'm going to do is share this video into the Sport Confidence Accelerator group, and then we will get started. So let me just type this in. Sport Confidence Accelerator. You guys, I'm going to get faster at this, I promise. Here we go. Okay. So that is shared into there. If you haven't already joined us, join the free Facebook group, Sport Confidence Accelerator, where we give you lots of great tips on mental training. And it's a really nice community of 1,300 plus families that are there to support their athletes. So let's get started. This week, one of our coaches, Coach Marissa, reached out, and we always have these conversations going on in our Facebook group. We have a group of complete performance coaches. And so Marissa was like, what have your athletes been struggling with as they're entering back into their sport and their practices? And a couple of us found that there was a theme, that it was a lot of athletes who they have been working on their mental training. They have been doing their Zoom workouts. They've been doing their conditioning. A lot of them are even back in practice, and they're feeling confident, but they have this nagging worry that they're going to lose their confidence. They're not currently scared, but they're scared that they're going to get scared. And I call this the fear cycle, where you're actually fine, but then you're afraid of getting afraid, which makes you tense, which makes you afraid. And then it all sort of spirals from there. So I wanted to talk to any athletes out there, or any families who have athletes out there who are having that little insecurity of, well, it's going okay now, but what if? And I also had, so in the Perform Happy community, which is our membership online community for mental training, we have these live trainings every week. And I lead the one on Wednesday nights, and I had an athlete on the hot seat. Now, for confidentiality, I'm going to change a little bit about her story, but I want to tell you, she had this exact question, and then I'm going to tell you how I answered it for her. So we're going to call her Mia. She's a 12-year-old level 6 gymnast, and she has a mental block that she's working through on her tumbling. And this was her question. She said, my gym is opening tomorrow, and right now I feel super confident. But what if when I get there, I lose all my confidence? Okay. So she was not alone. I was like, raise your hand if you have had thoughts like this. And just about every hand came up. And then, we were able to talk through with the group and go, well, did that happen for any of you? And they're like, no, actually, I'm doing better than I thought I would. And so that was nice in itself. But so I want to talk about anxiety. Anxiety is basically equal to negative future thinking. So if you are in the future and you're thinking about negative things happening, you will likely experience anxiety or nervousness. So if your things are going along and you're like, oh, what if this happens? What if I get hit by a meteor? What if I get run over by a bus? What if I fall off this beam? What if I lose all my confidence? Anything like that, what's going to happen is your brain is going to go, threat. Is there a bus? Is there a meteor? Are you failing? Are you disappointing people? Your brain is going to start scanning. So it's immediately going to go into kind of lockdown mode and like, there's a threat. And then it's going to go, where's the threat? Where's the threat? Where's the threat? So your focus has now changed from sort of generally aware of what's going on to zeroing in on anything that's going wrong or anything that might indicate that you're losing your confidence. So you also have this avoidance thing where your brain's like, don't go to practice. Oh gosh, what if? Because if you don't go to practice, then you can't fail. And then you might have a little resistance against going to practice. And then you also might have images flashing in your mind of things that went wrong before, or days where you had no confidence, or that day where you just kept bailing out of that skill. So even though you're still at home, you haven't even been back to practice, your mind has already played out this whole scenario where you go back, you fail, you're miserable, your coach is mad at you, and all your friends are doing really great. So that would probably make you tense, right? So even though you're not even at practice, you're already tense, your stomach is churning, you might not get good sleep. You also might not feed yourself well because you're having this thing going on, all right? So So in addition to the live group trainings, we also have these 10 weeks of challenges. And so I started talking to Mia and I was like, Mia, have you done the superhero confidence challenge? And she's like, no, I haven't done it yet. But so here's what would happen if she had. And so we came up with like a simple version of it. It was like, okay, we're going to call her Super Mia. She's so confident. Confident Mia is just going to handle these situations. I was like, okay, so what would Super Mia do if she had that thought? And then Mia's like, she would laugh and be like, no, I would never even have that thought. And if I had that thought, I'd be like, whatever, I'm going to go have a good time. So what we do in that challenge is actually pull out the best qualities that exist in you, the athlete, the things that are already there, that are there on your best day, on your most confident day. And we kind of separate those out and go, okay, if you could show up at practice as this person, just the best parts of you, what would be possible? And they're like, oh my gosh. And I would talk like this and I would think like this and I would act like this. And so they kind of get this idea of like me on my best day, and I'm going to call her Super Mia. And so once she has that image, it might seem a little hokey, but you can easily be like, all right, okay, Rebecca is falling apart. So Super Rebecca, you're in. And I can pull her in and be like, oh, good. She's so confident. She can handle this, and just that little switch can be a great way to remind yourself that it's fine. I have all these great qualities and I'm going to pull those into the mix and leave the other ones behind. The doubtful, scared, overthinking, negative parts. I'm just going to go ahead and leave my super villain at home. And I'm only taking, Super Rebecca into the gym. So we asked her, okay, what would Super Mia do? And she's like, she would shrug it off if she even had that thought to begin with. So then we also talked about other ways how to get yourself out of that cycle of the anxiety inducing future thinking. So the most simple way is to go, well, the future is not treating you well right now. The future is freaking you out. So let's get in the present. So every time we start our live group trainings, we always start with a deep breath in through your nose, out through your mouth, and finding one pleasant thing. Okay, so try that with me. Just start the deep breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. And then find one pleasant thing that's happening around you. Now, this is something that you can feel. It might be a tingle in your fingers. It might be the sensation of actually taking a deep breath for the first time all day. It could be a fuzzy slipper you're sitting next to. It could be a pet. It could be something delicious that you're eating. So we always start our group trainings with finding one pleasant thing. And that is something that you can do at any moment. If you're getting all freaked out, you can be like, oh, the reflection off my soda can is so nice. And it really does bring you back into the moment where everything is okay. So then other things that we talked about with Mia were the imagery challenge. So that's another one of our 10 weeks of weekly challenges for training your mind. And in the imagery challenge, you learn how to get your brain to create images that will help it. Basically, that will build the positive what ifs, so to speak. So you can imagine a conversation going well. You can imagine being a great communicator. You can imagine not letting negative thoughts bring you down at all. You can imagine doing your skills with confidence and ease. And that way, you're setting yourself up. So instead of having all those images just like sabotaging you of you doing the wrong things, you have the images predetermined that you're going to have in your mind that will allow your shoulders to relax and will allow you to trust your muscle memory. Another thing is practicing gratitude. Now, in a different one of our challenges, it's called the happiness challenge. It's all about finding the good stuff, being able to be in the moment, being grateful, which again will let your shoulders relax, calm down, and get into the moment, which takes that fight or flight brain response and just sort of dissipates it. And not to mention making you happier, which I don't think anyone can be too happy. There were a couple other things that we talked about before we wrapped up our session. One of them, I asked everybody in the group, and usually while I'm working with one athlete, we'll have the whole group sort of doing the exercises at the same time and chiming in and giving suggestions. But I said, okay, everybody, think about the worst, least confident day you have had in the last 6 months, in recent history. And so, okay, Mia was like, oh, got one. It was before the pandemic. This was happening. And then a couple other girls were like, oh yeah, I had one this week. But for the most part, it was actually kind of funny because there were a bunch of girls going like, I can't think of one. I don't know. I haven't had a really bad day recently. And I was like, okay, well, you're not playing my game, but that's good for you that you don't have any bad days that you can refer to. So for those of us who have a bad day that we can refer to, we're going to use it. So she thought back on that day and she talked about what happened. She was bailing out on her tumbling. She was not going for it over and over again. Her coach was yelling at her. She was in tears. It ended up where she still didn't throw the tumbling pass. Coach was like furious with her. She was in tears, and it actually started a months-long mental block. The reason that she came to Perform Happy to have us kind of help her work through it. So she was thinking about that day. And then we talked about it. And I was like, okay, it's never random that you would have a bad day like this. There's always clues. On your worst days, there are clues as to why you were not so confident. So as we talked it through, she realized like her reason for going for it was not the right reason. The way that she approached it, once she started the downward spiral, she just kept digging it in deeper and deeper. What she was assuming her coach was thinking might not have even been reality in the beginning. So we found a lot of really amazing clues about kind of why it went so sideways. And then I was like, okay, what about Super Mia? What would she do? And it took her a second. She's like, well, like this version, I had to remind her, like, this version of Mia knows what to do. She knows exactly how to rebuild her confidence. She knows exactly what mental skills work for her. So, and she sent her back and she's like, she probably would ask for help after the first, setback. She'd do a little bounce back routine. And then she would not have gone downhill so far. And so I was like, okay, so you today are different than the girl who had no tools, the girl who did not know how to handle fear. And she's like, oh yeah. I'm like, okay, so good. Confident Mia is like, if I have a bad day, I'll learn from it. And if I have a great day, I'll learn from it and I'll make progress. So she doesn't have to be stressed out. She can just be confident. So then the final thing that I talked about was that we have to acknowledge that confidence is a moving target. You might go in on Monday and just kill it. And you're nailing everything. You're doing great. You're feeling good. Your body feels good. You had a good rest. Your friends are happy. It's your birthday. Like everything's on your side. And then you go in Tuesday, your friend was a jerk. You didn't get enough sleep. You didn't eat enough breakfast and you're just in a bad mood. And all of a sudden you're not tumbling. You got to have Super Mia ready to be like, hey, it's okay. What can we learn from this? You got to have a good breakfast. All right, that was not enough sleep. We got to really speak up today and ask for help. And let's start on an easier progression just so we can get a little success under our belt so it doesn't feel so bad. And then you go in and you do your best. And then you restart the next day. And so the last suggestion is to have a mental toughness journal. Have something that you write down in all the clues that you find on a good day and the clues that you find on a bad day that help you to figure out your personal patterns. And this is, if you were going to work one-on-one with one of our coaches, this is what we do. We help you figure out the clues so that you set up your mental game plan in a way that works perfectly for you. So if you find that you are in this fear cycle or you're afraid you might end up in this fear cycle, I would encourage you to check out our free training. I'll read off the little link here, even though it's kind of long. It's completeperformancecoaching.com/fear-cycle-w1-register. Okay. Again, completeperformancecoaching.com, fear cycle W1 register. So you can get on there. We have a few different times available. It's all about the biggest mistakes that people are making when trying to break out of the fear cycle, and then exactly what it takes to build lasting confidence. So check that out if this appeals to you. And feel free to reach out if you have any questions. You can direct message us on the Complete Performance Instagram, the Complete Performance Coaching Facebook page, or you can email me. And I will see you soon. Thanks for watching.